Hello, welcome to Watan Al Karama News Channel. It is 9 p.m. our time for top stories, and we start with latest developments in Libya. Operations of Arab Libyan Armed Forces published a report on the situation on the ground in Benghazi, stressing that this report reflects the fact of the ground situation in Benghazi districts away from lying media channels that have certain agendas. The report noted that the Arab Libyan Armed Forces succeeded in entering the end of Bouatni streets and combating terrorism after liberating the entire road to the airport and entering Bouatni district at crossroads of Al-Mahashnish, As-Silini, Pepsi and Battalion number 21. The report noted that the armed forces also took control of air defense camps of Al-Mahashnish. Military sources at Air Force of Armed Forces noted that one of its jets suspected in U.S. cargo carrier and then warned and pulled it to the nearest port of inspection the early hours of morning. In another development, the armed and cleansing them from terrorist elements like Al-Hawari district, Hawari Hospital yards, Venetia streets and all sites near Hawari hospitals. And still in Libya, former U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton stressed that the Central Intelligence Agency, the U.S. Defense Department and NATO have sought to destabilize and seize Libya. Clinton added that U.S. administration has sought to change the Libyan regime through passing two international resolutions in the Security Council to find a quasi-legal justification for military intervention and destabilizing the situation in the country. The Tunisian interim ministry said it has got information that the terrorist Daesh group in Libya set up training camps for militants to train them on the martial arts in several areas near the Tunisian border. Advisor for the Tunisian interim minister Walid Al-Lughani said that the terrorist Daesh group in Libya has the same potential possessed in Syria and Iraq, noting that the terrorist Daesh militants are proficient in guerrillas warfare that plague the regular armies. Al-Lughani added that security and military Tunisian units possess necessary capabilities to counter the growing threat of the group on Tunisia. UN Secretary General Ban Ki-moon stressed that his special representative Bernardino Leon is still fully engaged in the Libyan political dialogue. Ki-moon expressed his full confidence in efforts exerted by Leon, which aim to support the Libyans for continuing the political dialogue and forming a national unity government as soon as possible. Ki-moon also pointed out that continuing the dialogue is essential for any transition of leadership. A number of civil society activists said that a news conference will be held in November 11 in Benghazi to announce a formal declaration for filing a lawsuit against the outgoing UN envoy to Libya, Bernardino Leon. A statement of the activists said that the call was welcomed by the Libyan people, noting that the press conference will also introduce human rights violations and crimes committed against the Libyan people as a result of expansion of extremist terrorist groups. Moreover, demonstrations will take place in Kesha Square in November 13 to raise the slogan "Together to Sue Bernardino Leon." The Egyptian Foreign Ministry said that Foreign Minister Sameh Shoukry headed to Algeria this morning to participate in a trilateral meeting at the level of Foreign Ministers of Egypt, Algeria and Italy to discuss developments of the Libyan crisis. Spokesman Ahmed Abu Zaid noted that this meeting is the third such meeting of tripartite consolidated mechanism to follow up the situation in Libya, noting that Shoukry will emphasize during the meeting on the need of reaching a quick agreement on the national unity government by the Libyan parties. Russian Emergency Minister Vladimir Bashkov and Russian investigators visited today the site of Russian plane crash. Speaking to Russia 24 television, Alexander Nergov, head of Russia Aviation Agency, said that the fact that fragments of the plane were scattered over a wide area suggests that Airbus A321 broke up in the air at the great altitude. As the Russian investigators moved slowly across the site, Egyptian military helicopters buzzed overhead, combing the wider area searches for debris or bodies not yet found. The cause of the crash was still unknown. Egyptian analysts began examining the content of the two black box recorders recovered from the airline, although the process, according to a civil aviation source, could take days. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi said it could take months to establish the truth behind the crash, though his country was cooperating with Russia to aid investigations. And now we transfer to Yemen. The UN special envoy to Yemen said today he expects talks between the country's warring parties to begin by mid-November, 8 months after the start of a messy civil war that has killed thousands and caused a humanitarian crisis. The conflict beats the Houthi militia and army units loyal to former President Ali Abdullah Saleh against armed groups who support exiled President Abdurrabbu Mansour Hadi alongside a Saudi-led Arab coalition. UN envoy Ismail Wil-Sheikh Ahmed said in Bahrain that he expects that the dialogue must begin before mid-November, as a minimum 15 November. All major combatants have publicly agreed to implement UN Security Council Resolutions 2216, which calls on Houthi and Saleh forces to withdraw from main cities and surrender arms captured from Yemeni government forces. And now we transfer to a migration crisis. Bavarian Premier Horst Seehofer arrived at the German Chancellor today to continue crunch talks with German Chancellor Angela Merkel and Vice Chancellor Sigmar Gabriel, who leads the other party Merkel's grand coalition, the Social Democrats SPD, said. The head of the Christian Social Union, CSU, has criticized Merkel's asylum policy and handling of the crisis. The CSU, sister party of Merkel's Christian Democratic Union, CDU, has been outspoken about her open doors policy towards refugees, in part because its home state of Bavaria is the entry point for virtually all of the migrants arriving in Germany. Berlin expects between 800,000 and 1 million refugees and migrants to arrive in Germany this year, twice as many as in any prior year. And now transfer to elections in Turkey. Turkey's AK party appears to be closing it on its goal of recovering a single-party majority and governing alone. Partial general elections results showed today in what could be a major turnaround for embattled President Tayyip Erdogan. The vote was Turkey's second in 5 months after the AKP in June lost the overall majority it had enjoyed since 2002. Erdogan has presented it as a chance to restore stability at a time of tension over Kurdish insurrection and two bombings. With around 2/3 of the votes counted, the AKP was on 52%, according to state-run broadcaster TRT, higher than many party officials had expected. The main opposition, CHP, was at 22.5%. The results could still change significantly, with counting not yet completed in the country's largest cities. Security forces in the Somali capital fought for several hours today before clearing a hotel of Shabab gunmen who has stormed the building after 2 bombs ripped into it. Police and witnesses said at least 13 people were killed. Shabab, which has frequently launched attacks in Mogadishu in its bid to topple the government, said it was behind the assault on the Sahafi hotel where government officials and lawmakers stay. The incident mirrored the tactics used before by Shabab, in which it detonates bombs to break through security targets and then send in fighters. The government is battling to rebuild the Horn of Africa nation after more than 2 decades of conflict. Al-Shabaab ruled much of Somalia until 2011, when it was driven out of Mogadishu by African and Somali troops. My audience, that is the wrap-up of our top stories for today. For much more, you can check our website, www.watanelkarama.tv. Thanks very much for being with us. My greeting, Rانيا البليدى.